Did you see his face, Michael? Did you see how Jake just froze when you started yelling about the credit card bill? He's 4 years old. 4. And he was just sitting there with his little cars, and then he started crying silently because his daddy was screaming.
Oh, come on, Sarah. I wasn't screaming. I was frustrated about the overdraft fees, and yeah, I raised my voice a little. Kids need to know that adults have problems too. It's not like I was cursing at him directly.
You don't get it. You never get it. It's not about whether you were yelling at him. It's about what it does to him. I watched our baby's little shoulders tense up. I watched him try to make himself invisible. And all I could think was, we're breaking him. We're actually breaking our child's spirit.
Sarah, you're being dramatic. One argument doesn't break a kid. My parents fought in front of me all the time, and I turned out fine. These kids are resilient. They bounce back from everything. Jake was probably just tired.
Tired? He asked me if it was his fault that Daddy was angry. A 4-year-old asked me if he caused the fight about money. And Emma just grabbed her little brother and took him to their room without saying a word. She's 7, Michael, and she's already learned to protect him from us.
Look, I understand you're concerned, but kids hear adults talking about problems all the time. They need to learn that life isn't perfect. Shielding them from every little stress isn't realistic or healthy.
I can't sleep anymore. Every single night, I lie there replaying every fight they've witnessed, every harsh word they've heard, every time I've lost my temper about dishes or homework or bills while they were right there. I'm convinced we're raising anxious, damaged children who will need therapy for decades because of our inability to control ourselves.
But, Sarah, we're not abusive parents. We love those kids more than life itself. Every couple argues. It's normal. Why are you acting like we're monsters? I don't understand why you're torturing yourself over regular family dynamics.
Because I grew up walking on eggshells. Because I know what it feels like to be a child in a house where voices are raised and love feels conditional based on adult moods. And I swore I would never put my children through that. And look at us, look at what we've become.
But we're nothing like abusive parents. We're just stressed people trying to manage work, bills, and 2 young kids. Sometimes voices get raised. That's human nature when you're overwhelmed.
You know what I noticed today? Emma has started flinching when we raise our voices, even when we're just calling up the stairs. She's developed this little startle response because she never knows if we're about to explode into another fight. That's not normal, Michael.
Okay, so we'll be more conscious about volume. We'll try to keep disagreements quieter. Problem solved, right? I can work on my tone when I'm frustrated about bills.
It's not about volume. It's about the tension, the energy, the way the whole house changes when we're angry at each other. Children are emotional sponges. They absorb everything. You can whisper cruel words and it would still devastate them.
So what are you saying? That we can never disagree about anything? That we have to pretend everything is perfect all the time? That's not realistic either, Sarah.
I need a minute. I need to process how we got to the point where we're having this conversation because our 4-year-old thinks he caused Daddy to be angry about money.
Wait, he really said that? He really thinks our argument about overdraft fees was his fault?
And it's not just about whether we're traumatizing them in the moment. It's about what we're teaching them about relationships, about love, about how people who care about each other treat one another.
But we do care about each other. We're not getting divorced. We work through our problems. Isn't that showing them that relationships take work?
I read about a study where they followed children of high conflict parents into their own relationships. These kids grow up thinking love equals drama, that yelling is normal communication, that walking on eggshells is just part of family life. Is that what we want for Jake and Emma?
But we do love each other. We're not getting divorced. We're not abusive. We just have normal marital stress. Every family has arguments. I don't think you can compare us to actually dysfunctional homes.
That's exactly the attitude that's killing me. You keep comparing us to worse situations instead of striving for better ones. I don't want to be not as bad as abusive homes. I want to be a home, a safe harbor for our children.
Look, I get that you're worried, but maybe the real trauma would be growing up thinking conflict doesn't exist. At least our kids will know that people can disagree and still stay together. That's valuable too.
You're missing the entire point. There's a difference between knowing that adults sometimes disagree and watching your parents lose control of their emotions regularly. One teaches resilience, the other teaches that love is scary and unpredictable.
So, you're saying it's not about never having disagreements, but about how we handle them, about staying in control even when we're frustrated?
Yes, finally. Yes, it's about modeling emotional regulation, about showing them that even when adults have problems, they can work through them with respect and without making children feel responsible or afraid.
Okay, I'm starting to understand. But how do we do that when we're both at our breaking point? When the stress just builds up until one of us explodes?
But here's the part that keeps me up at night. What happens when we can't control our emotions? Because let's be honest, Michael, there are times when the stress of money and work and parenting just overwhelms us, and we do snap in front of them.
Exactly. That's what I'm saying. We're human beings under enormous pressure. Sometimes we're going to lose it a little. That's just reality.
Last week, when Jake spilled juice on my laptop and I screamed at him while you were yelling at me about the grocery budget, I saw something in his eyes that I'll never forget. It was fear. Fear of his own mother. I've been having nightmares about it.
Sarah, that was a really bad day for both of us. You'd been working on that presentation for hours. I'd just gotten a call about another medical bill we couldn't afford. We were both at our breaking point. It wasn't ideal, but it was human.
But don't you see, to Jake, it doesn't matter that we had reasons. All he experienced was terror and chaos from the two people who are supposed to make him feel safe. The impact on him is the same whether our stress was justified or not.
I never thought about it that way. I always focused on our intentions, not on what they were actually experiencing. But why didn't we talk about this before? Why are you just telling me now how much this has been eating at you?
I've tried. Every time I bring up concerns about our fighting, you tell me I'm overreacting or being too sensitive. You make me feel like I'm the problem for caring about how our conflicts affect the kids.
I don't mean to dismiss you. I guess I just don't see it as being as serious as you do. But maybe I need to pay more attention to how they react when we argue.
Do you know what the consequences are going to be? Emma's going to choose partners who yell because that's what love looks like to her. Jake's going to either become a people pleaser who's terrified of conflict, or he's going to think it's normal to lose his temper when he's frustrated.
Jesus, Sarah. When you put it like that, I never connected our fights to their future relationships. I just thought about getting through each day, not about what patterns we were creating for them.
And then there's the guilt that's eating me alive every single day. I go to work pretending to be a competent adult, but inside I'm convinced I'm failing at the most important job I'll ever have, protecting my children's emotional development.
But you're a great mother, Sarah. You read to them every night, you help with homework, you make their lunches with little notes. A few arguments don't cancel out all of that love and attention.
You don't understand the weight I carry. Every parenting article I read, every developmental milestone they reach, every behavioral change I notice, it all gets filtered through this lens of how have our fights damaged them? It's exhausting and it's consuming my ability to enjoy being their mother.
So now it's all my fault? I'm the reason you can't enjoy parenting? I'm working myself to death to provide for this family, and apparently I'm also the villain destroying our children's psyches.
It's not about fault. It's about responsibility. It's about both of us being so overwhelmed with adult problems that we forgot we have two little humans depending on us to be their emotional foundation.
I honestly didn't realize how much this was weighing on you. I thought you were just being critical of me when you'd mentioned the fighting. I didn't understand that you were drowning in guilt and fear about what we're doing to them.
I love them so much it physically hurts. And I'm terrified that our inability to manage stress is going to be the thing that damages them. Not poverty, not divorced parents, but two people who love each other but can't figure out how to disagree without creating chaos in their safe space.
Sarah, I don't know what to do with this. I feel lost. I can see that you're in pain about this, but I don't know how to fix it. I don't even know if I fully understand what you need from me.
What I need is for you to understand that I feel completely alone in worrying about their emotional well-being. You seem to think everything will work out fine, while I'm over here convinced we're creating lasting damage every time we lose our tempers.
Alone? But we're partners in this. We both love those kids more than anything. How can you feel alone when we're both here, both trying our best?
Because trying our best isn't enough when our best includes regular emotional explosions in front of impressionable children. I expected that becoming parents would make us more conscious of our behavior, not less. I thought we'd grow up together, not just get more stressed together.
I think I think I've been so focused on the practical aspects of parenting, keeping them fed, housed, safe from physical harm, that I haven't thought enough about their emotional environment. That's on me.
I feel like I'm losing myself in the worry. I used to be a confident person, but now I second guess every reaction I have. Am I modeling emotional regulation, or am I showing them that adults can't handle stress without falling apart?
You're not falling apart. You're caring so deeply about their well-being that you're making yourself sick with worry. But maybe that level of anxiety isn't helping them either.
Don't you know that? Don't you think I've tried to just calm down and not worry so much? But every time I see Jake's face when we start arguing, every time Emma gets that protective look in her eyes, I'm reminded that we're their whole world and we're making it feel unsafe.
You're right. They are looking to us to make their world feel safe and predictable. And if we're constantly creating chaos and tension, then we're failing at that fundamental job.
The worst part is that I know they love us so much. They defend us to their teachers, they brag about us to their friends, they think we're perfect. And meanwhile, we're destroying their sense of security little by little, fight by fight.
God, Sarah, the way you're describing it, I feel like such a failure as a father. I never wanted to be the dad who scared his kids or made them feel anxious in their own home.
You're not a failure. That's not what I'm saying. I'm saying we both need to wake up to what we're doing before it becomes irreversible. I'm saying we need to figure out how to handle our stress without dumping it on them.
But how? How do we do that when everything feels like it's falling apart? The bills, the pressure at work, the exhaustion, it all just builds up until one of us explodes.
I don't know yet. But I know we have to find a way, because the alternative is raising children who think chaos is normal, who think love comes with fear, who think they're responsible for adult emotions.
Okay, tell me what you think we should do, because clearly what we're doing now isn't working, and I don't want to damage our kids.
First, we need to recognize the warning signs before we explode. The tension in our voices, the way our bodies get tight, the escalation pattern. We need to catch it earlier and have a signal that means we table the discussion.
Like a safe word that reminds us to protect their emotional space even when we're triggered. Something that stops us before we lose control.
Exactly. And when we do mess up, because we will, we're human, we do immediate repair work. We acknowledge what they witnessed, apologize for making them feel scared, and show them what healthy conflict resolution looks like.
So instead of pretending nothing happened or making excuses, we own our behavior and model how to do better next time.
Yes! I saw this child psychologist on Instagram who talks about how powerful it is when parents take responsibility for their mistakes. She says it builds trust rather than destroying it, because kids see that adults can acknowledge when they're wrong.
That makes sense. Instead of protecting them by pretending everything is fine, we protect them by being accountable and showing them what growth looks like.
And Michael, we also need to address why we're fighting so much in the first place. The financial stress, the lack of support, the exhaustion, those are the root causes that keep triggering these explosions.
You're right. Maybe we need to have an honest conversation about our budget, about asking for help from family,
about whether we're trying to do too much with too little support.
And we need to reconnect as a couple. So much of our communication has become about logistics and problems. When did we stop being allies and start being adversaries who happen to share a house and kids?
I miss us. I miss laughing together and feeling like we're on the same team. Maybe that's part of why everything feels so intense. We've lost our foundation as partners.
We used to be able to tackle problems together instead of taking our stress out on each other. We used to support each other through hard times instead of adding to each other's burden.
So we need to work on our relationship too, not just our parenting. We need to remember how to be kind to each other, especially when we're stressed.
I think we should consider family counseling. Not because we're broken, but because we want to learn better tools for handling conflict and stress when there are children involved.
I'm open to that. I want to learn how to be the kind of father who makes his children feel safe and secure, even during tough times.
There's this family therapist I heard on a podcast who specializes in helping couples manage conflict in healthy ways. She talks about how children actually benefit from seeing their parents work through problems respectfully.
So the goal isn't to never have disagreements in front of them, but to show them what healthy conflict resolution looks like.
Exactly. The goal isn't to be perfect parents who never have stress or disagreements. The goal is to be conscious parents who take responsibility for our impact on them and who create a home that feels emotionally safe.
I can commit to that. I can commit to catching myself before I explode, to using our safe word when things are escalating, and to doing repair work when we mess up.
And I can commit to not letting my anxiety about their well-being consume me to the point where it creates even more stress in our home. My worry about hurting them can't become another source of tension.
Tomorrow morning, should we have a family meeting? Something age-appropriate, where we talk about feelings and establish some new family guidelines for how we treat each other when we're upset.
I love that idea. They need to see us taking this seriously and working together to make things better. And they need to know that they're safe to express their own feelings too.
We'll tell them that sometimes grown-ups have big feelings about grown-up problems, but it's never their fault, and we're learning better ways to handle those feelings.
And we'll establish some family rules about respect and kindness that apply to everyone, parents included. They need to see us holding ourselves to the same standards we expect from them.
For any other parents who might be listening and recognizing themselves in this conversation, it's never too late to acknowledge how your conflicts are affecting your children and start making changes.
The fact that you're worried about it means you care. The awareness is the first step. Children are incredibly forgiving when they see their parents genuinely trying to create a more peaceful, secure home environment.
We can do this, Sarah. We can learn to handle our stress and conflicts in ways that protect their emotional development instead of threatening it.
Yes, we can. And maybe, in the process, we'll rediscover how to be partners again instead of just two overwhelmed people trying to survive each day. Our children deserve parents who love each other well and who show them what healthy relationships actually look like.
I'm committed to being better. Not perfect, but better. More aware, more intentional, more protective of their emotional safety, while still being authentic about the fact that life has challenges.
That's all I've ever wanted. For us to be conscious about our impact on them and committed to doing better when we mess up. They don't need perfect parents, but they do need parents who care enough to grow and change for their well-being.